The king of the Klondike has fallen. Tony Beets, the unstoppable force who built an empire from frozen ground, has been beaten. And the person who did it? His own son. $55 million in verified gold. A secret operation that no one saw coming. A family rivalry that exploded into the biggest gold rush story ever told. Today, you're about to witness how Kevin Beets quietly dismantled his father's reign and built something even more powerful in its place. This isn't just about numbers, it's about precision versus power, innovation versus tradition, and the moment a dynasty changed hands forever. Before we dive into this unbelievable showdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss a single moment of what happens next. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. For years, Tony Beets was untouchable, the king of the Klondike, ruling with an iron fist, a massive fleet, and a record few dared to challenge. But this season, everything changed in ways no one saw coming. It started quietly. Kevin Beets, Tony's methodical son, takes over a remote northern cut while his father focuses on expanding infrastructure. At first it seems routine, just another side project to keep things moving. But something's different this time. Kevin tightens control over every inch of the operation. No open radio chatter, no visitors, not even Tony's foreman knows the full scope of what's happening out there. Days turn into weeks, and subtle signs begin to appear. Production reports stop syncing with Tony's main data sheets. Diesel orders go unlogged. Sluice schedules don't match cleanup numbers. Camp drivers whisper that Kevin's crew is running double shifts, off the record. In a town like Dawson, secrets never stay buried for long. Word spreads fast that Kevin's northern cut might be producing gold at levels even Parker Schnabel would envy. Then, one foggy evening, a drone operator captures something that shouldn't exist. A sluice run glimmering with visible gold, thick as syrup, pouring out under Kevin's supervision. The clip leaks online for just a few hours before it's pulled, but it's too late. The legend of Kevin's secret claim has begun. Tony brushes it off publicly. Just rumors, he says, but privately he notices the numbers don't lie. Somewhere, gold is missing from his empire. Not stolen, redirected. The truth surfaces through a mechanic's confession. Kevin, it turns out, is keeping a separate gold log, a personal ledger written in coded entries, each matching coordinates, yield totals, and cleanup weights that dwarf anything recorded in Tony's books. One line reads, Run 19B, 51 ounces, confirmed. Another, Zone 7, unclassified pay, test pans off chart. It's not a journal. It's a gold empire forming quietly in the shadows. Then one morning, a shipment logged under Kevin's name disappears before Tony's weekly audit. No trace, no receipt, no refiner's note. When Discovery asks to film at the North Cut, Kevin refuses, citing equipment testing. The request gets denied, an unheard-of move in the Beets operation. Tony's suspicion turns to quiet anger. He pores through hours of footage, old manifests, and way slips. Everything checks out, on paper. Kevin's operation is invisible to the system, and the numbers are too clean to challenge. That's when whispers from the field start circulating. Kevin's cut isn't just producing, it's rewriting what's possible. He's uncovered a 300-yard pay streak where flakes shimmer right in the gravel. No fancy machinery, no exotic soil. Just precision. He's running samples that yield 3 ounces per cubic yard, levels that border on geological fantasy. The wildest part? The ground he's mining is the same glacial drift Tony abandoned years ago as too fine to bother with. Kevin saw what others didn't. An ocean of microscopic gold particles no one ever properly processed. He tweaks every variable: sluice angles, water flow, riffle height, pump pressure. Instead of losing fine gold through the mats, he traps it, one fraction at a time. Slowly, methodically, he turns old Beets ground into a gold factory. And then, overnight, it happens. The cleanup tray glitters brighter than anything the Beets family's ever seen. Assayers confirm the haul, 7 figures in raw gold, unreported, unrecorded, and all under Kevin's command. Tony doesn't know it yet, but his empire has just shifted. The next chapter of Gold Rush is about to belong to his son. Tony's patience finally snaps the moment he spots the gaps. Diesel usage doesn't add up, and shift logs don't match the fuel burned. He corners Kevin in the yard, clipboard in hand, jaw tight. The hum of idling machinery fills the silence as Tony demands answers. Kevin doesn't flinch. He wipes the dust from his gloves, looks him dead in the eye, and says quietly, "You'll see the results when it's ready." No excuses, no argument, just confidence. That single line sends a chill through the camp. From that point, everything shifts. Conversations stop when Kevin walks by. Crews whisper about the operation up north, about late-night runs, floodlights burning till dawn, and pay dirt richer than anything they've ever seen. Discovery producers push for access, eager to film the unfolding tension, but Tony shuts them down cold. "No cameras till I say," he growls. What he doesn't realize is that Kevin has already arranged something of his own. Within days, a separate crew arrives, quiet, discreet, and under Kevin's personal contract. They're there to film everything. When asked why, Kevin's answer is simple: this one deserves proof. Weeks later, that proof explodes across the internet. Anonymous footage leaks, grainy but clear enough to set off shockwaves. Kevin stands beside a stack of gold bars stamped with his initials, each labeled and logged. The total? $12.4 million. The clip shows him weighing, sealing, and cataloging the bars while his crew cheers behind him. Within hours, the video racks up millions of views before being pulled from official channels. But by then, the damage is done. Tony sees it the same morning the rest of the world does. His face hardens as he realizes Kevin's operation isn't just rogue, it's outpacing his own empire. Tony storms into the north, cut unannounced, Discovery cameras trailing. The footage that follows becomes one of the most intense moments ever filmed on Gold Rush. Kevin's crew freezes mid-run, unsure whether to keep working or shut down. Tony's voice cuts through the roar of the pumps as he orders everything stopped. He demands the gold count, the assay certificates, the ledgers. Kevin stands firm, arms crossed, silent. An assayer from Dawson is called in to settle the argument. The results are undeniable: 98% pure gold, clean and high grade. Tony's crew can only watch as the truth sinks in. Kevin has outperformed the king of the Klondike. Mid-season, the footage finally airs. Viewers watch Tony confront Kevin, the silent tension so thick it barely needs narration. The cleanups verified, the purity confirmed, and Kevin's name hits headlines worldwide. Fans start debating online. Has the Beets dynasty shifted hands? Has Tony finally been beaten by his own son? Tony refuses every interview request, offers no comment, and walks off camera more than once. His silence only fuels speculation. Behind the scenes, the power balance fractures. Kevin files paperwork to register his own venture, Beets Mining North Limited, a completely independent company. The move sends shockwaves through the Yukon. Investors who've backed Tony for decades start calling for clarity. Kevin wastes no time asserting control. He signs an exclusive refining deal with a Dawson-based processor, bypassing Tony's main smelter entirely. Every ounce pulled from the north cut now routes through Kevin's new company, completely off Tony's grid. Then comes the ultimate betrayal, not from family, but from loyalty. half of Tony's most trusted men quietly follow Kevin north. Mechanics, operators, even his longtime loader chief pack their gear and join the younger Beets. They claim the move is temporary, but everyone knows better. Kevin's operation is faster, cleaner, and pays better. It's where the future lies. Tony's once unbreakable crew fractures overnight. Word spreads that Tony's preparing legal action. He consults with lawyers, combs through company bylaws, tries to prove ownership over the new cut. But Kevin's been 2 steps ahead the whole time. The claims are registered under his name. The equipment is leased through separate contracts. The footage, the assays, even the gold itself. Everything is documented cleanly under Beets Mining North Limited. Legally, Tony can't touch it. When Tony finally confronts him again, the tone has changed. It's no longer a father disciplining a son, it's a mogul facing a rival. Kevin doesn't gloat, doesn't raise his voice. He simply says, "You built the empire, Dad." I just made it work. The look on Tony's face says it all. Anger, pride, and something deeper. The realization that the student may have just surpassed the master. The Beets name still holds power in the Yukon, but now, for the first time, it's divided between 2 kings. And as the cameras keep rolling, everyone knows. This isn't the end of the conflict. It's the beginning of a new gold war. The first ripples start with a spreadsheet no one was meant to see. A quiet accounting leak confirms what the Yukon's been whispering for months. Kevin Beets's independent yields have crossed the $30 million mark. Not projected, verified. Every ounce logged through Beets Mining North Limited, processed under his exclusive refinery deal, and confirmed by third-party audits. The discovery detonates across the mining community. The secret, insiders claim, lies in Kevin's precision-driven techniques, fine gold recovery, and deep wash layering. While most miners chase visible flakes, Kevin's system targets particles so small they'd normally vanish through the mats. He layers the wash plant runs in staggered sequences, letting each pass extract residual dust from the previous cleanup. It's time-consuming, almost surgical, but devastatingly effective. Efficiency jumps nearly 40%. Even Parker Schnabel's crew admits privately that Kevin's approach is next-level Beets engineering. In interviews, Parker calls it the kind of innovation this industry's been missing. Tony, confronted by numbers he can't ignore, finally acknowledges the yields are real. His words, though, are carefully measured. It's good work, sure, but it's small scale. I've run bigger. He frames Kevin's success as a fluke, a lucky streak in a particularly rich patch, but no one buys it. When reporters ask Kevin to respond to his father's remarks, he smiles faintly and says, "This is the new era of mining. Not Dad's old ways. This is about precision, not muscle." The quote spreads like wildfire. For the first time, the Yukon's mining narrative shifts from horsepower to intellect, from brute strength to strategic design. Tony can't stand on the sidelines any longer. His counterstrike begins almost immediately. He doubles down on expansion, staking new ground at Eureka Creek, a move straight out of his playbook from the early 2000s. Within weeks, massive equipment convoys arrive. Excavators, dredges, even experimental wash plants. Tony's goal is clear: to reclaim his title, to prove the Beets empire still bows to no one. But Kevin sees the move coming long before the paperwork clears. He quietly leases an untouched section of Tony's former ground, the same patch Tony once wrote off as depleted. Kevin's data says otherwise. Using core samples and ground-penetrating radar, he identifies deep gold lines sitting beneath layers Tony's old machines never reached. While Tony's Eureka Creek site struggles through setup delays and equipment malfunctions, Kevin's new cut roars to life almost instantly. Within days, the yield reports are staggering, richer, deeper, cleaner than anything his father's producing. The irony hits hard when Tony's new dredge, meant to symbolize his comeback, malfunctions mid-season. A pump fails, then a secondary clutch burns out, grinding production to a halt. Repair delays stretch for weeks, eating through both time and investor confidence. Meanwhile, Kevin's numbers skyrocket. His crew records consecutive record-breaking cleanups, each one stacking against Tony's stalled output. The Yukon press runs the story with brutal precision. Tony Beets' comeback plan falters as Kevin's yield tops $45 million. Tony doesn't respond, but the strain starts showing. Crews whisper about him spending late nights alone in the office trailer, reviewing maps from the 1980s, trying to find something, anything, to turn the tide. Then nature intervenes in a way no one could predict. A sudden storm system sweeps across the Yukon in early September. It's violent, fast, and merciless. Torrential rain floods the access roads, cutting off both Tony's Eureka Creek operation and Kevin's northern site. Wash plants are submerged, pumps disabled, and the ground turns into a slurry of mud and ice. For the first time since their rivalry began, both Beets operations grind to a full stop. Discovery's cameras capture the chaos. Helicopter shots of trucks, half buried in floodwater, loaders tilted sideways in collapsing ground. With both camps crippled, Kevin makes an unexpected move. He contacts Tony directly and offers him shared use of his state-of-the-art recovery plant, the only functional system left undamaged by the flood. Tony hesitates, but knows the alternative means weeks, maybe months, of dead time. Against every instinct, he agrees. The two crews, who weeks earlier wouldn't even share a fuel line, suddenly find themselves working shoulder to shoulder. Cameras roll as the Beets men, father and son, rebuild a temporary channel together under gray skies and freezing rain. The truce shocks everyone. There's no shouting, no rivalry, just silent efficiency. The footage becomes some of the most compelling in the show's history. Tony adjusting a sluice box while Kevin calibrates pressure gauges beside him, both refusing to speak more than necessary. Mutual respect, unspoken but visible, fills the frame. When the floodwaters finally recede, the cleanup begins. Against every odd, the combined yield from their shared run surpasses $10 million. Each ounce verified, each sample tagged. And in a gesture that surprises the entire crew, Kevin splits it evenly. No contracts, no lawyers, no conditions. Just a handshake. For a brief moment, the Yukon's most famous rivalry dissolves into partnership. The cameras capture a single image that says it all. Two Beets, covered in mud, staring down at the gold tray, glowing under the floodlights. Neither speaks, but everyone watching knows something shifted again. The storm may have halted the mines, but it also unearthed something far rarer than gold. The fragile beginnings of respect between two men bound by the same blood and the same hunger to dig deeper than anyone else. When the season finally ends and the last ounces are weighed, the truth lands heavier than anyone expected. Kevin Beets' independent operation, Beets Mining North Limited, closes the books at a staggering $55 million in verified gold, an official number, confirmed by multiple assay reports and witnessed by Discovery's accountants. There's no speculation left, no rumor, no leak. The figures are black and white, undeniable. Kevin has done what few miners in the Yukon have ever achieved. He's outmined his father, and not by a small margin. Tony's official total sits at $38 million, an impressive season by any measure, but for the first time in years, it isn't enough to hold the crown. Discovery releases the full season breakdown in a special midwinter episode. The data flashes on screen like an earthquake. Kevin Beets, $55,020,000. Tony Beets, $38,160,000. Viewers freeze. then explode across social media. Forums flood with disbelief. Memes, clips, and comparisons spread across every mining board online. Fans begin calling Kevin the Yukon Engineer, a name born from his obsession with process, efficiency, and flawless technical control. He doesn't swing the biggest excavator or command the loudest crew, but he outthinks every obstacle in the field. Discovery's finale captures a single moment that defines the season. Tony standing beside the cleanup table, his eyes fixed on the mountain of gold bricks. He doesn't say much, just one quiet sentence as the cameras roll. He earned it. It's not defeat, it's acknowledgement. The veteran who built the Beets empire from frozen ground recognizes the precision and discipline that surpassed him. The empire hasn't collapsed. It's evolved. From that moment, the entire Beets brand begins to transform. Kevin doesn't waste time celebrating. Within weeks, he expands Beets Mining North into a multi-site operation. Using 3D terrain mapping and adaptive load simulations, he sets up mirrored systems across 3 active claims, each running on the same precision formula that built his record-breaking season. Satellite data feeds into an AI yield model designed to predict gold concentrations with 85% accuracy, far outpacing traditional survey methods. Tony, meanwhile, begins to pivot his role. The grizzled, no-nonsense miner who once ruled with brute force becomes something else, a mentor, an anchor for the empire's legacy. Instead of chasing production numbers, Tony steps into oversight and training, teaching younger crews how to handle extreme terrain and unpredictable Yukon weather. His empire, once a symbol of dominance, starts functioning as a proving ground for innovation. Investors who once funneled money exclusively into Tony's ventures begin shifting focus. Corporate partners from Canada, Finland, and Australia start backing Kevin's next-gen methods. Within a single fiscal year, Kevin's signature replaces Tony's on most Yukon mining contracts. By the next season, Beets Mining North surpasses all of Discovery's other operations combined in reported yield. The shift is dramatic, not just in numbers, but in perception. For years, Kevin had been the quiet one, the engineer in the background, the technician fine-tuning systems, while Tony handled cameras and negotiations. Now, that dynamic is reversed. Kevin becomes the public face of the Beets dynasty, representing a new era of cold logic, advanced tech, and relentless precision. By late spring, Kevin announces something even bigger, a move that takes the entire Beets family name beyond the familiar valleys of the Klondike. At a private investor meeting in Whitehorse, he reveals a new exploration plan, an Arctic expansion into previously untouched permafrost. Gold fields near the Mackenzie River Basin. These are regions considered unworkable by most miners, frozen solid for millennia, inaccessible by standard equipment. Kevin presents data models showing deep alluvial channels with gold concentrations 60% higher than any Yukon record. The project, codenamed Northbound Zero, represents the boldest frontier the Beets family has ever attempted. Almost immediately, Discovery steps in with a major announcement, a brand new spin-off series focusing exclusively on Kevin's operations. The network calls it Beets: The Next Frontier. It's not just a side story, it's a full-scale expansion. Production crews are dispatched north to document the construction of new base camps, drone-mapped ice fields, and prototype drilling rigs designed to cut through frozen permafrost. Back at Paradise Hill, Tony watches the new equipment roll out. He doesn't interfere. The man who once micromanaged every ounce of dirt now stands back, hands on his hips, observing as his son leads an operation larger and more complex than anything he ever built. The rivalry that once divided them has turned into something deeper, a partnership built on mutual respect. When reporters ask Tony how he feels about Kevin's rapid ascent, he shrugs, cracks a smile, and says quietly, "He went farther than I ever could." It's not surrender, it's pride carved into humility. The Discovery finale captures one last image that becomes instantly iconic. Kevin stands in a quiet operations tent late at night, poring over a massive digital map of the Arctic zones. The lights flicker against the reflective surface of the projected terrain. A single red marker flashes at the far edge of the display, his next claim. The camera lingers as he reaches out with a gloved hand and taps the spot, sealing his next move. There are no speeches, no victory shouts, just the sound of the wind battering the tent and the faint hum of generators outside. The next morning, convoys roll out, trucks loaded with drills, processors, and ground-penetrating sensors. The northbound journey begins quietly, without the spectacle of Tony's early days, but with the precision of a mission planned down to the last bolt. Kevin's crew, now a hand-picked team of engineers, veterans, and new-generation miners, moves through the frozen expanse, carving a new path for the Beets legacy. As footage from the first Arctic test pit comes in, Discovery executives can barely contain their excitement. The samples show gold traces higher than expected, with rare mineral inclusions indicating untouched deposits. It's not just a continuation of the Beets story, it's evolution. A dynasty that began with brute strength now moves forward, powered by innovation and calculation. And through it all, one truth echoes across the Yukon and beyond. Legacy isn't inherited. It's built, refined, and tested against time, ice, and blood. Kevin Beets didn't just continue his father's empire, he reshaped it, redefined it, and carried it into a new era. The map glows beneath his hands as the Arctic sun breaks over the horizon, and the camera fades on a single line, one that will define both their names for generations. In the Yukon, legacy isn't inherited, it's mined. So there you have it, the untold story of how Kevin Beets built a $55 million empire, outmined his legendary father, and changed the future of the Beets dynasty forever. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you've hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. Do you think Kevin's success will continue, or can Tony reclaim his throne? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.